How dopamine works in the brain. Have you ever wondered why am I buying stuff I don't need? That question would be unfolded throughout the video. Please stay tuned till the end. Hello my friends, please subscribe to my YouTube channel for daily content. Ask a philosopher what is the essence of humanity, and it wouldn't be surprising if he said it was free will. The essence of humanity is our ability to move beyond instinct. To go beyond automatic reactions to our environment. It's the ability to weigh options, to consider higher concepts such as values and principles. And then to make a deliberate choice about how to maximize what we believe is good, whether it's love, money, or the nobility of the soul. That's dopamine. Where is dopamine located? It flows from an evolutionarily old part of the brain deep inside the skull called the ventral tegmental area. This place. It is rich in dopamine, in fact. It is one of the two main dopamine-producing regions. Like most brain cells, the cells that grow there have long tails that wind through the brain until they reach a place called the nucleus accumbens. When these long-tailed cells are activated, they release dopamine into the nucleus accumbens, driving the feeling we know as motivation. The scientific term for this circuit is the mesolimbic pathway, although it's easier to simply call it the Dopamine Desire circuit. So what does it do? This dopamine circuit evolved to promote behaviors that lead to survival and reproduction, or, to put it more plainly, to help us get food and sex, and to win competitions. The desire circuit that's activated when you see the plate of donuts on the table, it's activated not by need, but by the presence of something attractive. Surprisingly, the circuit is activated whether or not you're hungry. It's always focused on acquiring more of everything with an eye toward providing for the future. When it finds something that's potentially valuable, dopamine switches on, sending the message wake up, pay attention. This is important. It sends this message by creating the feeling of desire, and often excitement. The sensation of wanting. Giving in to craving doesn't necessarily lead to pleasure because wanting is different from liking. Dopamine makes promises that it is not what it seems to be. If you buy these shoes, your life will change. The desire circuit makes you feel the false importance that influence your choices. Kent Berridge, a professor of psychology and neuroscience at the University of Michigan, is a pioneering figure in the process of dopamine. Desire circuits from here and now liking circuits. He found that when a rat tastes a sugar solution, it signals liking by licking its lips. In contrast, it expresses wanting by consuming more of the sweet liquid. When he injected a chemical into a rat's brain that boosted dopamine, it consumed more sugar water, but didn't show any increased signs of liking. Dopamine desire system is powerful and highly influential in the brain, whereas the liking circuit is tiny, fragile, and much harder to trigger. The difference between the two is the reason that life's intense pleasures are less frequent and less sustained than intense desire. Finally, the spiritual person might say that transcendence is the root of humanity. It's the thing that rises above physical reality. The most essential part of who we are is our immortal souls that exist beyond space and time. Because we cannot see, hear, smell, taste, or touch our souls, we encounter them only in our imagination. That's dopamine. Dopamine and love. Ever asked yourself you found the one you waited for all your life, so why doesn't the honeymoon last forever? That question would be answered, my friends, throughout the video, so please stay tuned. Hello my friends, please subscribe to my YouTube channel for daily content. We have first to know, do human beings require long-term companionship? There's good evidence that the answer is yes. Despite the superficial appeal of having multiple partners, most people eventually settle down. A United Nations survey found that more than 90% of men and women marry by the age of 49. We can live without companionate love, but the majority of us arrange a good portion of our lives around trying to find it and keep it. So the question is, what else give us the ability to do that? The chemical keys of hand-NS give us the ability to do that. They allow us to find satisfaction in what our senses deliver, what is right in front of us, and what we can experience without the nagging sense that we need something more. I would talk about them later. But let's first discuss how does dopamine really works and benefits our relationship. Let's first jump to that experiment. It will give an insight about how dopamine rush is working for us. Wolfram Schultz is among the most influential pioneers of dopamine experimentation. As a professor of neurophysiology at the University of Freiburg, Switzerland, he became interested in the role of dopamine in learning. He implanted tiny electrodes into the brains of macaque monkeys where dopamine cells clustered together. He then placed the monkeys in an apparatus that had 2 lights and 2 boxes. Every once in a while one of the lights turned on. One light was a signal that the food pellet could be found in the box on the right. The other meant the food pellet was in the box on the left. Something unexpected happened. The timing of the dopamine release began to change from firing at the discovery of the food to firing at the light. Why? What was the reason for that? Seeing the light go on would always be unexpected. But once the monkeys figured out that the light meant they were about to get food, the surprise they felt came from the appearance of the light, not from finding the food. From that, a new hypothesis arose: dopamine activity is not a marker of pleasure. It is a reaction to the unexpected, to possibility and anticipation. From dopamine's point of view, having things is uninteresting. It's only getting things that matters. If you live under a bridge, dopamine makes you want a tent. If you live in a tent, dopamine makes you want a house. If you live in the most expensive mansion in the world, dopamine makes you want a castle on the moon. Dopamine has no standard for good, and seeks no finish line. The dopamine circuits in the brain can be stimulated only by the possibility of whatever is shiny and new, never mind how perfect things are at the moment. The dopamine motto is more. Dopamine is one of the instigators of love, the source of the spark that sets off all that follows. But for love to continue beyond that stage, the nature of the love relationship has to change because the chemical symphony behind it changes. Dopamine isn't the pleasure molecule, after all. It's the anticipation molecule. So what is the pleasure molecules that keeps the relation going concerning emotions? So let's now discuss the hand chemicals to enjoy the things we have, as opposed to the things that are only possible. Our brains must transition from future-oriented dopamine to present-oriented chemicals, a collection of neurotransmitters we call the here and now molecules, or the hand NS. Most people have heard of the hand NS. They include serotonin, oxytocin, endorphins, your brain's version of morphine, and a class of chemicals called endocannabinoids, your brain's version of marijuana. As opposed to the pleasure of anticipation via dopamine, these chemicals give us pleasure from sensation and emotion. In fact, one of the endocannabinoid molecules is called anandamide, named after a Sanskrit word that means joy, bliss, and delight. So you may ask yourself what type of love you need to develop for things to go in your favor? According to anthropologist Helen Fisher, early or passionate love lasts only 12 to 18 months. After that, for a couple to remain attached to one another, they need to develop a different sort of love called companionate love. Companionate love is mediated by the hand NS, because it involves experiences that are happening right here, right now. You're with the one you love, so enjoy it. When the hand NS take over in the second stage of love, dopamine is suppressed. It has to be because dopamine paints a picture in our minds of a rosy future in order to allow us through the hard work necessary to make it a reality. Dissatisfaction with the present state of affairs is an important ingredient in bringing about change. So how is the happy relation is all about how do hand and dopamine compensate one another? Which is what a new relationship is all about. Hand, companionate love, on the other hand, is characterized by deep and enduring satisfaction with the present reality, and an aversion to change, at least with regard to one's relationship with one's partner. In fact, though dopamine and hand circuits can work together, under most circumstances they counter each other. When hand circuits are activated, we are prompted to experience the real world around us, and dopamine is suppressed. When dopamine circuits are activated, we move into a future of possibilities, and hand NS are suppressed. Laboratory testing supports this idea. When scientists looked at blood cells extracted from people who were in the passionate stage of love, they found lower levels of hand serotonin receptors compared to healthy people, an indicator that the hand NS were in retreat. It's not easy to say farewell to the dopaminergic thrill of new partners and passionate longing, but the ability to do so is a sign of maturity and a step toward long-lasting happiness. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to push the subscribe button.